Good afternoon and welcome to this week's TNT Sports Show here at J7 Sports Grill. I'm Travis and this is Terry. We're going to start this week's show off by answering a couple email questions this week. One question we got from one local reader. They'd like to know if we think this is Linton's year to win their first football state championship. So since Terry is on the Linton football beat, we'll let Terry discuss that question.
Well, I'm going to answer that with a non-answer because I think it's just a little premature to even speculate just yet. There is, after all, the North Vermilion game this Friday. We're playing the defending 1A state champions, North Vermilion Falcons. And another thing to consider, Lafayette Central Catholic is back in Class 1A this year, and they're the team to beat unless someone proves otherwise. So we'll just have to see how the season plays out. They've got as good a chance as they've had in any other season, but they've had other seasons where Miners have, had a chance to, they've advanced to the semi-state, but just haven't gotten beyond that yet. Maybe this is the year they make the state finals and make it to the Lucas Oil Stadium to play the day after Thanksgiving. But as far as winning a state championship, we're just going to have to see.
You've covered a couple times now this year. Just what's maybe one area that you think that they need to improve on to maybe get over the hump this year?
I don't know if it's as much what Linton needs to improve on as they just need to have a year when they're in someone better than they are in that class. One thing I saw at the Tecumseh game that they could probably shore up is kickoff coverage, because Tecumseh was, for one of the things they did do successfully was, they were getting 20, 25 yards on kickoff returns. Part of the reason they were leading the nation in kickoff returns was because they were receiving so many kickoffs, but that's...
And that was one area I covered in week one in the Speedway game. They ended up giving up a touchdown on a punt return and gave up some big yardage on kickoff returns too. So I would agree with that's one area they need to shore up before state series time. But like you said, there's plenty of games left, so those adjustments can be made as well. Another question that was asked in email was what are the thoughts on some of the best athletes in the area. I'll go ahead and take that question. Once again, like with Terry, not one clear answer. It's a short list. Some of the names I have on my list so far early in the year. Start with Linton football. Tyler Mueller, dual threat quarterback, and also his legs are just doing a lot of good things, running the ball as well. Another person that's impressed me so far is, and I think he gets underappreciated sometimes, is Pierce Jackson with Linton as well. Sticking with the football theme, early on through the first 3 weeks, Eastern Green's Jeff Graham has really impressed as well with his ability to be a dual threat on the ground and passing as well. Another athlete that's got off to a great season so far is checking my cross-country runner, Clay Reynolds. He's been near the top just about every invitational, and it's been the top local runner so far. On the girls' side, I would have to go a few names here. Emily Boer, Bloomfield Volleyball. She's kind of the heart and soul of that team, just a presence at the net, and also she's a very good back row player as well for Bloomfield. Another volleyball player would be Lynn Stockton's Riley Fiddler. She's kind of their heart and soul. That team seems to kind of go with the offense that she creates. And then on the cross-country beat as well, Bloomfield's Allie Workman. She had an impressive race this past weekend at Martinsville, a tough classic. She ended up getting second. The girl ended up winning was a girl from Greenwood Academy. that got fourth in the state last year, and Workman was with her within 1 or 2 seconds throughout most of the race. So those are just a few of my short list. And then you have anyone you'd like to add to that list, boys or girls?
As far as athlete of the year, no, but there were the Lady Lakers as a team. They won that invitational in the small school class, and they only edged Eastern Green by 6 points in the scoring. And Liz Bradaway ran third to Workman second. She's kind of narrowed the gap with Workman versus, the results those have last year. And Workman's improved, too, because, like you said, she was just a couple steps behind the runner from Greenwood. So not necessarily athlete of the year, but just, noteworthy performances by both the team and by Liz.
Okay. Kind of mentioned a little bit up just football games from this past Friday night. Linton just was we both kind of talked about for Friday night that we thought that Linton would have their way a little bit, but I don't think either one of us thought it'd be a running clock type game.
I didn't think it would. I didn't expect the game to be close, but I didn't expect Linton to take just 3 plays or less for any of their scores. It was. I don't know. It's just you had Muir with 3 touchdowns last week, 62, 84, and 34 yards, and a lot of times they'd get a turnover and it would be 1 play or 2 plays and they'd score again.
And then
I just didn't expect that. What it reminded me a lot of was the North Central game in 2011. North Central was ranked 9th in the state when we went over there. And, of course, both teams had been unbeaten to that point. And North Central had the Van Schoik, the running back. And so I'm talking to Jay Ken Wright. I hadn't seen the Miners play yet that year just because of the way the schedule worked out. I was still living in India, and I hadn't gotten down there to see them. So I'm thinking it's going to be a good game. So I'm talking to Jay Ken Wright. I said, this ought to be a good game tonight, huh? And he goes, no, this won't be close. And we had Austin Kersey at quarterback, and it was 56 to something, and it wasn't close. And this game kind of reminded me of that game. I just didn't expect that easy of a time of it for Linton.
And they're just on a good little roll throughout the first 3 games heading into the big game here this Friday night.
I think playing the tougher schedule early has made them, if you want to say, bring it, step their game up a little bit early in the season, more than what they've had to do in the past, just giving them more of a test. I think that's been a good thing for them.
And we've kind of talked about this before in the year. I just, with me being back in the area, I thought one downfall to their success in the years past was playing in the weak conference and not really playing elite competition until they get to the state tournament. And it seems like they've really beefed up their schedule early on this year, and that may play a factor into their success in the postseason this year.
It's going to help for sure. Yeah, there's no question about it.
And just we'll see, have a good test for them. Friday night. You mentioned the defending state champions.
Yeah.
So I had Eastern Green at North Davies Friday night, and again, I thought that was a game they could win. I wasn't expecting a 41-0 outcome at halftime, and that ended up being the final score as Eastern Green kind of ran in a lot of their reserve players in the second half and was getting a lot of guys that don't really see the field too much all throughout the second half, and they were able to come away with a shutout. And just it seems like the culture there has changed with the first 3 weeks of the season this year. The kids know that they can win, and they expect to win now. It's just like a different team with the way they've started out the year so far.
Yeah, and I think some of that was they got close to achieving some of their goals last year, and they've got a lot of those kids back, and Coach Joey has said those seniors have kind of made this team their own, and they're all 5 of them are showing leadership, and the rest of the guys are following suit.
And they got Mitchell this Friday night and another winnable game, so it'll be interesting to see if they can go down there on the road and pick up another win and start 4-0. he was down at Bar Reef Saturday with Linton volleyball team, so maybe just talk about how they looked and get some good competition they had.
Oh yeah, there's some good competition. That field was loaded with, you know, you got Northview, who Linton played earlier in the week. That's the defending 3A runner-up. You got Bar Reef, who's always tough. You had Evansville Modern Day. You had Perry Central, who's a little down this year. They're rebuilding, but you know, Perry's somebody that's going to be competitive. You had Indianapolis Lutheran. They're going to be tough, and they're tall. So it was a loaded field, and I thought, well, it was unfortunate for the way that the pairings worked out, and they had to play Bar Reeve at 9 o'clock in the morning after, you know, a lot of the girls were down at Tecumseh for the football game, just like I was, and then some of them were cheerleaders, and so, you know, they're up till the wee hours of the morning, and they got to turn around and play it at 9 in the morning, and weren't quite awake yet. Jill said there were, you know, sleepy eyes, tired legs, and then when you're playing somebody like Bar Reeve, that's going to be tough. Linton looked really good against Modern Day. That was a good match. And like I said, Perry was a little bit down, and so Linton handled them without too much difficulty. And then they ran into Lutheran, and they were just it'd been a long day. They were tired, and it was their last match of the day. They started playing at 9. They didn't get over, the Lutheran match didn't get over till like 5:30. So it was a long day. 8 hours plus of volleyball, and then Lutheran had a considerable size advantage too, with a 6'3" girl and a couple 6-footers, and you know you're giving up 9 inches in a lot of cases to there, so that was a challenge for them.
And they also had a couple of tough matches in the week. You'd mentioned they played Northview Thursday night.
Yep.
They got swept, but they were competitive in most of those three games there. And they also played Tuesday night. They played a tough Clay City team that pushed into the 5 sets. So just a long week for the Miners on the volleyball court.
Yeah.
I was over at Martinsville Saturday for Artesian Classic, Cross Country Classic, 24th annual. Like Terry had mentioned, Shackamack girls ended up winning the girls title, field of 10 teams. Just anyone that knows girls coach Mark Mesmer, he was pretty ecstatic, elated with the way the girls ran. Just mentioned Liz Bredwig, she finished third. She ran her best time of the year by 30 seconds. Mariah Sweet, which has been their number 2 runner all throughout the year, she finished in the top 15 with a 13th-place finish. And they're really I thought that won it for the girls was their number 3 through 5 runners was all pretty close, and like Coach Mesmer mentioned, they all ran a pretty good solid race throughout the year, or on Saturday what they had all year. Individual wise, Allie Workman once again just a good performance, getting second, like I mentioned, to the Greenwood Academy girl. She was right with her stripe for stripe throughout most of the race, and the girl from Greenwood kind of pulled away there towards the last half mile of the race, ended up winning by, I think, 12 seconds, but still a good performance for Allie. And Allie's been battling sickness throughout the past 2 weeks as well. She's still not 100%. Along the same lines, Eastern Greens, Lindley Kirkman, she didn't race in the Edgewood Invitational on Tuesday. She's been battling a hamstring injury, but she felt pretty good Saturday, and she ended up getting a 7th-place finish to lead Eastern Green. And on the boys' side, once again, Clay Reynolds Shackamack ran well, 4th-place finish. So I just thought there was a lot of good things from both the boys and the girls Saturday. And we'll move into maybe some recommendations for Athlete of the Week. Someone on my short list, one kid that doesn't get a lot of recognition that probably should is Eastern Green lineman Jacob Williams. He plays both the offensive and defensive line for the Thunderbirds. He also got in the scoring act on Friday night, as they right before halftime they had a 1st and goal from the 1. They called a timeout to make sure they had the right package in, and Coach P put him in the backfield, and he rumbled in from a yard out. So that was nice to see, in the 315-pound lineman kind of doing his best impersonation of the Fridge. So, and I talked to him after the game. He was ecstatic about it. And he'd also, I guess they were kind of working on it in practice all last week. He was talking to Coach P about that there was a package for him in junior high. And so they finally got him talked into doing it. So it was good to see him get in the end zone.
That was going to be my shout out to the week to Big Jake. Lineman's dream. Way to go, Jake.
And then also Jeff Graham, just again another solid performance passing and rushing for Jeff. And then of course Tyler Mueller with a big game Friday night for Linton.
220 yards on just 9 carries.
That's pretty impressive. And like you mentioned, the big runs just kind of took the wind out of the sails early in the game. And then a couple other on my list, Emily Brewer. She had 18 kills in Bloomfield's win over Sullivan Thursday night, 4-set match. And she also had 12 kills in their win against North Central on Wednesday, which I really thought that was going to be a dogfight of a match, and Bloomfield just kind of handed it to them Wednesday night in a sweep. So I was really impressed with it.
Yeah, I did too. Bloomfield looked pretty impressive in that match. It was a good overall team win because, Felicity Graff passed out 46 assists, and Aubrey Adams got down for 22 digs. So they had all good individual performances in different areas from several different players, and it was a total team. It was a total team effort.
It was nice to see them kind of bounce back. They had kind of a rough week the week before, falling to Clay City, and the Clay City round robin that Saturday, but they bounced back with 3 wins last week, so it looked like they're really getting things turned around as well. And then you mentioned the Shackamack girls cross country team as a whole. I think they should get some recognition as well just for their effort on Saturday as well. So anybody else you think would on the list for Athlete of the Week that you think about?
That pretty much covers my list that I had. So
okay. And then just a late congrats to Eastern Greens, Caleb Hamilton for being last week's Athlete of the Week. His first year playing varsity football. Just really impressed with the way he's played so far this year. Anything you want to mention coming up this week?
On the volleyball side, both Linton and Bloomfield have matches against 3A Washington. Linton's playing them tonight, and then Bloomfield has them tomorrow night. And both our teams are at home against Washington. I think both Linton and Bloomfield should handle Washington, but other than that, you got the few your tennis invitationals and cross country invitationals coming up this weekend, and of course everybody knows about the big game Friday up at Cayuga.
And also like to give a shout out to the Linton boys tennis team. They got their first win of the season last Tuesday against North Central, so it was good to see. I know Brad's been here for a long time. He's a good coach, and good to see them get a first win and with a young team that he's got this year.
With a young team. So, yeah, they're building for the future there. So
that just about wraps it up for this week's edition of TNT Sports Show. We'll hope you guys tune in next week.